Hello guys. Welcome back to GH Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the issue that recently shocked everyone in Port Charles and dramatically shifted the custody battle for Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. The courtroom drama involving Michael Corinthos and Willow Tate has captured the attention of the entire town, but no one anticipated the emotional revelations that unfolded, shaking the core of relationships and leaving permanent scars. After days of intense preparation and emotional build-up, the custody trial resumed at full force. Both Michael and Willow entered the courtroom determined to secure primary custody of their two beloved children. Michael was convinced that his home with Carly provided the stability and love necessary to nurture Wiley and Amelia. On the other hand, Willow was determined to keep her children with her, believing that, as their mother, she knew best how to protect and raise them even despite the recent upheavals involving her new partner, Drew Kane. The courtroom atmosphere was tense as both attorneys passionately argued their clients' cases. Michael's attorney emphasized his client's stable environment, highlighting the emotional security that he and Carly could provide. Willow's lawyer countered by highlighting her dedication as a mother and emphasized that Willow had been the primary caregiver for both children during Michael's lengthy absence recovering in Germany. But as the proceedings continued, no one could predict that the defining moment of the trial would come from the innocent voice of 4-year-old Amelia. With the judge's permission, Amelia was gently guided to the stand by the court-appointed advocate. Her eyes wide and innocent, Amelia looked at her parents and spoke in a small but clear voice, immediately captivating everyone present. She expressed simple honesty, saying she loved both her parents deeply and wished more than anything that they would be together again as a family. But the judge, sensing the child had something more to say, asked her gently if there was anything else she'd like to share. Amelia hesitated briefly before bravely revealing a stunning truth. She nervously admitted that she'd accidentally overheard a private conversation between Drew Kane and Nina Rieves, a conversation that included something she didn't fully understand, but knew was important enough to share. Amelia innocently stated that she heard Drew and Nina discuss that they had slept together, words she didn't completely grasp but instinctively sensed meant something troubling. Amelia's innocent revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom, immediately plunging the proceedings into chaos. Willow froze in shock, her face turning pale as she processed her daughter's words. She stared at Drew, speechless, as anger, disbelief, and betrayal visibly washed over her. Willow had defended Drew countless times, choosing to trust him despite doubts and warning signs from those around her. Drew's silence, coupled with his desperate expression, confirmed the truth without him even needing to speak a word. Suddenly overwhelmed by rage and devastation, Willow stood up abruptly, interrupting the hearing. Her voice trembling, she demanded Drew explain himself. But Drew could only stammer weak excuses, saying he had never meant for it to happen, that it was a mistake from a moment of weakness. His words fell on deaf ears. Willow had heard enough. Unable to control her emotions and unwilling to remain in the courtroom any longer, Willow abruptly stormed out of the proceedings, leaving a stunned audience behind. Drew attempted to follow her, desperately pleading for Willow to let him explain, to hear him out. But Willow refused, her anger too raw, her trust shattered beyond repair. She made it clear to Drew that their relationship was over, irrevocably damaged by this deceit. Drew's pleas fell flat, and he found himself standing alone in the hallway of the courthouse, realizing he'd lost Willow completely. Meanwhile, back in the courtroom, the judge struggled to regain order. With Willow having abruptly left, the judge was forced to pause proceedings once again. After careful deliberation and reviewing testimony including Amelia's shocking disclosure, the judge reached a decision. Recognizing the instability and emotional turmoil surrounding Willow and Drew, the court ruled in favor of Michael, granting him primary custody of both Amelia and Wiley. Michael received the ruling with mixed emotions. While grateful to have custody and thrilled to provide stability and love to his children, he also felt profound sadness witnessing Willow's heartbreak. Nevertheless, Michael quickly stepped into his role with unwavering devotion. He promised the court and, more importantly, his children that he would ensure they had a stable, loving home, free from confusion or deception. Michael soon returned home with Wiley and Amelia, and both children immediately embraced life under Michael's care, living happily alongside their grandmother, Carly Corinthos. Carly was delighted to support her son and grandchildren, offering comfort, guidance, and a strong emotional anchor to the family. Wiley and Amelia visibly thrived in their newfound security, relieved to finally be in an environment free from tension and confusion. In stark contrast, Willow spiraled emotionally. The betrayal from Drew and Nina, to people she deeply trusted, left her devastated and isolated. Willow felt humiliated, deceived, and furious. She couldn't believe Nina, her biological mother with whom she had finally begun to build a fragile bond, could betray her so deeply. Nina's betrayal was especially painful given their complicated history. Drew's actions cut equally deep, destroying the trust and affection she had painstakingly rebuilt after Michael's departure to Germany. Nina, upon realizing Amelia's revelation had exposed her private betrayal, desperately tried to reach out and reconcile with Willow. She begged Willow to forgive her, to understand that it was a mistake driven by loneliness and vulnerability. Nina claimed she never intended for Willow to find out or be hurt by it. But Willow refused Nina's apologies, pushing her away once and for all. For Willow, Nina's betrayal was the final straw. She decided definitively that Nina would no longer have any role in her life or in the lives of Wiley and Amelia. Willow's relationship with Drew was similarly damaged beyond repair. Drew repeatedly attempted to apologize and explain, but Willow remained resolute in her decision. She couldn't forgive Drew's betrayal. Willow, feeling utterly alone, struggled deeply with her emotions but knew she had to move forward without them both. Meanwhile, Michael dedicated himself fully to the children's well-being, maintaining a stable routine, supporting their emotional needs, and providing unconditional love. Under Michael and Carly's devoted care, Wiley and Amelia regained their childhood innocence and emotional security. Michael vowed that he would do everything possible to ensure they felt safe and loved every day of their lives. As Port Charles continued to grapple with these shocking events, Drew and Nina found themselves ostracized. Drew's credibility had been severely damaged, and many in Port Charles blamed him for breaking Willow's heart. His attempts at reconciliation were consistently rebuffed, and he struggled to rebuild his reputation and life in town. Similarly, Nina faced harsh judgment. Her actions isolated her further, and she had to confront the consequences of her impulsivity and poor choices. The fractured relationships, loss of trust, and emotional fallout made it clear that Nina would have a long, difficult road ahead in repairing her image and relationships. Willow, devastated but resilient, gradually tried to rebuild her life. Knowing her priority was now to heal emotionally and regain the strength needed to eventually restore her relationship with her children. Despite her overwhelming hurt, Willow never stopped loving Wiley and Amelia deeply. She vowed internally to become the mother they deserved, hoping someday she could regain their trust and rebuild their bond. Ultimately, this custody battle became much more than a legal fight. It became an emotional reckoning that exposed deeply buried secrets and forced everyone involved to confront their truths. For Michael, it meant embracing fatherhood and protecting his children at all costs. For Willow, it meant facing painful betrayals, reevaluating her choices, and fighting to reclaim her sense of self-worth. For Wiley and Amelia, it meant finally experiencing stability and unconditional love. As this dramatic chapter closes, Port Charles remains riveted by what comes next. Will Michael and Willow ever find a path toward co-parenting harmony? Can Willow heal enough to re-establish a meaningful role in her children's lives? Will Drew and Nina ever find redemption? Next, we will delve into the heart-wrenching story behind a beloved character's sudden departure, an exit that has left a void in Port Charles and in the hearts of viewers everywhere. A seismic shockwave rippled through the dedicated fanbase of General Hospital last week, culminating in a bombshell announcement that few saw coming. Jonathan Jackson, the prodigiously talented actor who brought Lucky Spencer to life and earned an incredible 5 Daytime Emmy Awards for the role, has made his abrupt exit from the soap. The news was particularly jarring as Jackson had only recently returned to the GH canvas after more than a decade away, his reappearance igniting a firestorm of hope and nostalgia among longtime viewers. His return felt like a homecoming, a promise of a return to one of the show's most iconic and cherished storylines. A love story reignited, a dream shattered. For weeks, fans were captivated by the reunion of Lucky and Elizabeth Weber Baldwin Rebecca Herbst. The air between them crackled with the electricity of shared history and spoken feelings, and the tantalizing possibility that Lucky would finally resume his epic, star-crossed love story with his first and forever love. Viewers were granted their wish, at least for a fleeting, beautiful moment. The reunion was not rushed. It was a masterfully paced narrative of two souls rediscovering their profound connection. They navigated the complexities of the years they spent apart, finding a warm, familiar comfort in each other's presence. Their bond appeared stronger than ever, leading everyone to believe that a permanent reunion was not just a hope, but an inevitability. This belief reached its zenith during the pivotal June 6th episode. In a scene charged with emotion and a decade's worth of anticipation, Lucky laid his heart bare and proposed to Liz. As he got down on one knee, a collective breath was held across the country. Rumors of Jackson's potential departure had been swirling, but fans desperately hoped they were exaggerated whispers, soon to be silenced by Liz's joyful yes. However, the story took a devastating turn. With a look of deep love and even deeper sorrow, Liz turned him down, shattering Lucky's proposal and the audience's dreams in a single, gut-wrenching moment. The diverging paths of two destined souls. Liz's refusal was not born from a lack of love, but from a profound understanding of the man she would always adore. She gently explained that she knew, with absolute certainty, that the quiet, stable life she had built in Port Charles would never truly satisfy his restless spirit. Lucky, the son of adventurers Luke and Laura Spencer, had inherited their wanderlust. He was a man meant for open roads and distant horizons, not for the predictable rhythm of small-town life. In his heart, he knew she was right. His counteroffer was as romantic as it was impossible. He asked her to leave everything behind and travel the world with him, to be his partner in a life of endless adventure. For a brief second, the fantasy was alluring, but the reality of Elizabeth's world quickly set in. She is not the impulsive young woman she once was. She is a mother with deep roots and responsibilities in Port Charles. Her sons, Cameron, Jake, and Aiden, are her entire world, and their lives are firmly planted in the town she calls home. Furthermore, she has built a formidable career and is the respected head nurse at General Hospital, a pillar of the very community Lucky wished to flee. Declining his offer was a painful affirmation of who she had become in Anchor, a steady light, while he remained a beautiful ship destined for the open sea. With their fundamental desires in stark opposition, Lucky surmised that remaining in Port Charles, so close to her but unable to truly be with her, would be a constant, unbearable torture. A bittersweet and final farewell. The emotional climax arrived in the June 9th episode. Amidst the high-stakes chaos of the courtroom drama that dominated there, the show carved out a quiet, poignant space for Lucky and Elizabeth to say their final goodbyes. It was a scene stripped of melodrama, filled instead with raw, genuine emotion. They stood face to face, the weight of their shared history hanging between them. In a bittersweet exchange that left fans crushed, they declared their eternal love for one another, a love that transcended circumstance and time. Yet, they both acknowledged the painful truth: their chapter together had closed. It was a mutual, heartbreaking acceptance that sometimes love means letting go. Afterward, in a touching scene that underscored his deep family ties, Lucky shared a heartfelt goodbye with his sister, Lulu Spencer. It was a moment that reminded viewers of his place within the legendary Spencer dynasty and the deep bonds that he would be leaving behind. The farewell was not just to Elizabeth, but to his entire life in Port Charles. Behind the curtain, Jonathan Jackson's real-life decision. In a candid interview with TV Insider, Jonathan Jackson shed light on the real-world reasons for his sudden on-screen departure, confirming it was a decision that pained him as well. He clarified that it was never his intention for this return to be so brief. The core issue was a practical, logistical challenge. Jackson and his family are based in Nashville, Tennessee, while General Hospital films on the opposite side of the country in California. Jackson explained that both he and the powers that be at GH made a sincere, concerted effort to find a workable solution. They explored various scheduling possibilities to accommodate the immense geographical distance. However, the demands of a full-time role on a daily soap opera proved incompatible with the cross-country commute and his commitment to his family life in Nashville. Ultimately, the strain was too great. His exit was not due to creative differences or dissatisfaction, but was a personal and difficult choice made for the well-being of his family. This revelation provides a layer of understanding to the situation, framing his departure not as a dramatic upheaval, but as a deeply human decision, making the beloved actor's exit all the more poignant. Next, we will learn about the issue of a love story poised for a miraculous second chance and the shocking return that could rewrite history for Jason Morgan. In the ever-turbulent world of Port Charles, where shadows of the past loom as large as the city's skyline, Jason Morgan's Steve Burton is a man adrift. His dramatic return from the abyss of presumed death, following a perilous and clandestine FBI mission, was not the triumphant homecoming he might have envisioned. Instead, he was met with a landscape altered by loss and a silence where a particular voice should have been. The most devastating blow came with the revelation of Britt Westburn's Kelly Thibault tragic fate. The news of her death struck Jason with a profound and quiet sadness, a grief for a connection that was as unexpected as it was deep. Fans will recall with a heavy heart the cruel twist of fate that saw the brilliant and formidable Dr. Westburn fall victim to Heather Weber's toxic hook, a seemingly definitive and heartbreaking end to her journey. Her loss appeared absolute, yet in the world of daytime drama, the finality of death is often merely a suggestion. Whispers on the wind, a ghost's return. A tremor of excitement and wild speculation is coursing through the General Hospital fandom, as it has been officially confirmed that the phenomenal Kelly Thibault is slated to make her return to the show this July. The bombshell announcement has thrown open the doors to a myriad of tantalizing possibilities. The network is holding its cards close to the vest, refusing to confirm whether Thibault will be reprising her iconic role as the sharp-tongued, golden-hearted Brit, or if she will be introduced as an entirely new persona. While the idea of a new character is plausible, to dismiss the potential for Brit's miraculous resurrection would be to ignore the very fabric of soap opera storytelling. Countless beloved characters have been mourned and buried, only to re-emerge, their deaths revealed as elaborate hoaxes, medical miracles, or villainous deceptions. The show's writers seem to be deliberately planting narrative seeds, fanning the flames of hope for Brit's return. In the poignant episode that aired on June 6, Cody Bill's solitary dive into the Metro Court pool became a powerful and melancholic moment of remembrance, triggering a flood of memories of his time with Brit. Later, in a quiet moment of shared grief, Cody and Molly Lansing Davis raised their glasses in a toast to Brit's memory. These are not idle scenes, they are calculated narrative beats designed to keep Brit's spirit alive in the consciousness of the audience, potentially paving the way for her physical return. The creative minds at GH could be crafting an ingenious storyline to reverse her tragic fate, and perhaps even more shockingly, negate her devastating Huntington's disease diagnosis, opening a door to a future she never thought she would have. Miracles of science or diabolical schemes. The question of how Brit could return leads us down a rabbit hole of thrilling and outlandish possibilities, perfectly at home in Port Charles. All eyes are turning toward the enigmatic and morally ambiguous storyline of Professor Henry Hank Dalton. Whispers from the set have hinted that his research involves clandestine cloning experiments and other major scientific surprises, establishing a precedent where anything is possible. Could Professor Dalton's lab hold the key? It is entirely conceivable that he, recognizing Brit's brilliant medical mind and unique genetic makeup, secretly obtained her DNA before her death. Perhaps he saw her as the ultimate test subject for a revolutionary procedure, not just to create a clone, but to eradicate the Huntington's gene that had cast such a dark shadow over her life. If Thibault is indeed returning as a cured Brit, it would be the perfect catalyst to reignite her powerful romance with Jason, offering them the second chance that fate so cruelly stole. Of course, the writers could also embrace another classic soap opera trope, the long-lost twin. This path, while sometimes seen as a narrative shortcut, could be woven intricately into the existing tapestry of the show. One compelling theory suggests that Liesl Obrich's tangled past may hold yet another secret. What if the villainous Madeline Reeves, known for stealing Nina Reeves' twin, also managed to abscond with one of Liesl's, a twin to Brit that even Dr. Obrich never knew existed? This would introduce a character with Brit's face and Thibault's undeniable screen presence, but with none of her memories. The dramatic potential would be immense, as Jason would find himself inexorably drawn to a woman who is a phantom echo of his lost love, creating a powerful and heart-wrenching new dynamic. Regardless of the method of her return, be it a resurrected Brit, a scientific clone, or a secret twin, on-screen chemistry between Steve Burton and Kelly Thibault is an undeniable force of nature. Their previous pairing as Brasson was a massive fan favorite, celebrated for its unique blend of sarcastic wit and genuine vulnerability. They were two outsiders who found an unexpected sanctuary in one another. Jason has been without a significant romantic partner for some time, and the return of Thibault's character presents a golden opportunity to explore his emotional core. Would you be thrilled to see Jason and the original Brit finally get their shot at a lasting romance, free from the threats that once tore them apart? Or would you prefer the tragic beauty of Jason falling for a new character who wears a familiar face? The spoilers all point to a massive shock on the horizon for Jason, ensuring that this summer in Port Charles will be one for the history books. Next, we will learn about the issue of a seemingly simple pregnancy timeline that has spiraled into a complex mathematical and emotional puzzle, leaving fans to wonder about the true depth of Michael Corinthos and Sasha Gilmore's fateful connection. In the intricate tapestry of Port Charles, a single loose thread can unravel everything. Right now, that thread is the impending arrival of Sasha Gilmore's unborn child, a baby fathered by Michael Corinthos. The very existence of this pregnancy was a bombshell secret that Sasha carried in silence, a ticking clock counting down to the moment it would inevitably detonate in the lives of everyone involved. The math, as many astute viewers have pointed out, simply isn't adding up, and a single, seemingly innocuous comment from Michael has ignited a firestorm of speculation. The central question is no longer just that Sasha is pregnant, but how this pregnancy came to be. Was it the result of a single, grief-stricken night of shared sorrow, or is there a more complex, hidden history between them? A cryptic comment and 1,000 questions. The mystery reached a fever pitch during a recent, emotionally charged episode of General Hospital. As Sasha navigated the immense stress and anxiety of her high-risk situation, Michael offered a piece of what appeared to be simple, reassuring advice. He calmly mentioned that Sasha had once told him due dates are never an exact science. On the surface, it was a kind and supportive comment, the sort of gentle reassurance one would offer to the frightened mother of their child. However, in the high-stakes world of soap opera storytelling, no line is ever truly throwaway. This statement immediately sent shockwaves through the fandom, as it seemed to imply a much broader time frame for conception than a single night would allow. It was a verbal breadcrumb that could lead down several vastly different paths. Fans immediately began deconstructing the line, transforming it from a piece of dialogue into a critical clue. One interpretation is that Michael's words are a direct admission of a more prolonged affair. If they had been together on more than one occasion, the window for conception would be wider, making the exact due date genuinely less certain. This possibility paints their connection in a far more serious and complicated light. It shifts the narrative from a one-time mistake fueled by grief and circumstance to a series of deliberate, secret encounters. This would constitute a deeper betrayal of the life and relationship Michael is trying to build with Willow Tate, adding a devastating layer of deception to an already fraught situation. Unraveling the theory's betrayal, kindness, or a writer's wink. Conversely, another compelling school of thought suggests that fans might be reading too much into a simple act of compassion. Proponents of this theory argue that Michael's character, at his core, is a decent man trying to navigate an impossible situation. In this view, his comment had nothing to do with a secret timeline and everything to do with the present moment. He saw Sasha, the mother of his child, spiraling into anxiety and panic, and he reached for a universal truth to calm her down. His statement, "Due dates are never exact," was not a confession but a lifeline, an attempt to ground her and reduce her stress by reminding her that a little variance is normal. It was an act of kindness, demonstrating his commitment to being a supportive co-parent, regardless of the personal cost to his own romantic life. Beyond the emotional interpretations, some fans have introduced a more scientific or even metatextual analysis. One viewer astutely pointed out the biological realities of conception, noting, sperm can live inside the body for up to 5 days. You can get pregnant days after intercourse if an egg is released or becomes available. They could have had sex on a Friday and she could have gotten pregnant on the following Monday. This adds a layer of scientific plausibility to the idea that a single encounter could still result in a slightly ambiguous conception date, fitting Michael's comment without requiring multiple trysts. Then there is the theory that this is all a clever, self-aware joke from the writer's room. Soaps are notorious for their fluid timelines, a phenomenon affectionately termed soap opera rapid aging syndrome source for children, which also extends to pregnancies that can last for what feels like an eternity or progress with impossible speed. A fan suggested the line could be a meta joke about how they constantly fluctuate ages due dates. In this light, Michael's comment is less about his character's history and more about the show itself winking at its dedicated audience, acknowledging the flexible reality in which these characters exist. Within the show's universe, it still serves to reassure Sasha that the baby might not be as premature as she fears, but its primary function could be as a playful nod to the genre's quirks. Each theory holds weight, and the truth will undoubtedly reshape the future for Michael, Sasha, and the unsuspecting Willow.